Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of First Look Final Word, the podcast where we take you along to see a movie with us. My name's Pete.
And I'm Trevor. What's going on, agents of the Impossible Mission Force? Your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to have a great time coming along for the ride with Pete and I. Today...
This car will self-destruct.
Thank you. Oh yeah, I should have added that. Today we're seeing Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning. Ethan Hunt and the IMF team continue their search for the terrifying AI known as the Entity. All right, it's a really long synopsis on Letterboxd. I'm just going to leave it as that.
Everybody knows what's going on with Mission Impossible, surely.
Well, I've been waiting for this day for a long time.
Yeah, I feel like this is the start of the summer, pretty much. It's like, let's get some big movies going here. But yeah, I'm excited for this one, definitely.
Yeah, this has sort of become my franchise over the past 5 years or so.
Really?
I've always liked these movies, but then ever since Fallout came out, I really just absolutely fell in love with them. And I've watched them over and over again, save for the seventh one, which I've only seen the one time in theaters.
Yeah. Was Fallout the first McQuarrie one?
No, the first McQuarrie one was
Not gonna test to see what
it was
the
4.
names
Yeah,
are.
he's done 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Right.
And
Which one was 4? I can never.
Oh no, sorry. Brad Bird did 4,
Right,
which is
where was that? Rogue Nation?
that's Ghost Protocol.
I don't know.
So McQuarrie was like a screenwriter on 4, and he's screenwriter and director on 5, 6, 7, 8. But he's been with the franchise since 4. That's when it really started to get good.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, I mean, not that I didn't like the first 3. I haven't gone back and watched them very recently. Probably not for a long time actually. But I watched bits of the first one this week because my wife and my eldest son decided they wanted to watch all the Mission Impossibles, so they got through the first 2, I think. But I didn't get a chance to rewatch them, but they both quite liked them.
Well, I really appreciate how in the early movies, they're all different directors and they all kind of just are doing their own thing,
right? Yeah,
feeling really different. But then it also really benefited from just finding its main.
It definitely
voice.
did, because I mean those first 3, yes, they had different voices and they're very different, but they also were varied in quality quite a bit because they were, like you say, they were very different. So it was like they didn't seem of a piece with each other sometimes. Like it almost just seemed like it was just a film slapped with Mission Impossible over the top, just throw a mask in it and just call it Mission Impossible.
Yeah, I really liked the first one.
Yeah.
And then the second one I'm close to not liking, though I still appreciate some things about it, but to me it's the consensus worst movie of the franchise.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to argue that.
Well, it's not, it does have its fans, so
well, I mean, I do like parts of it, but yeah, it's the least Mission Impossible.
Yeah, and it was really just trying to be a James Bond type thing. And
yeah.
I love John Woo, and
I know, right?
But I think just it was just not right for the.
Yeah, he still smashes somebody in the face with the back tire of his motorcycle while it's doing what do you call it, Endy? Is that a thing?
I'm the wrong person to ask.
What do they call it when you go on the front wheel instead of a back wheel?
A wheelie?
No, a wheelie is when you go on the back wheel, but when you go on the front wheel, is it a stoppy or an Endy?
Those all sound too silly. I don't know. Maybe that's what it's called.
I feel like that was when I used to play a BMX video game when I was a kid.
Called an Endy?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Well,
anyway, let's not get sidetracked.
If you know what it's called when the front wheel goes down,
how did Ethan Hunt hit that guy with his back wheel?
Well, that one came out when I was a kid, right? And even then, I thought there was way too much mask bullshit going on.
I was just gonna say there's the biggest egregious use of every single of the scene. It was someone ripping a mask off, and you're like, come on now. It was like satire of itself at that point, which maybe he was going for. Who knows?
And I think they've used the masks pretty sparingly, and the mask machine's always breaking down or whatever now, which is it's just so perfect.
The way they do that,
and they just have to take calculated risks. I guess you have to go as Tom Cruise now.
I love how seemingly as well, especially with the early ones, it was every director had their own style of showing how they they changed the actor and by doing special camera tricks.
Yeah.
We'll move the camera behind his post or whatever. And then which one was it? Which was it Brad Bird did this Philip Seymour Hoffman one?
That was no, that was JJ who did that
yes,
one.
you're right.
And that
Because I
one,
remember
like,
he was like, I'm just gonna do it super like make it seem like it was impossible. He didn't do any cheap tricks or go behind posts or anything. I remember being like, oh wow, he did that pretty well.
I think that's still JJ's best movie.
Oh,
Like,
you think?
that's the one
That was a very good movie. Which one was that? Like
that was 3.
Well, what's the name of that one though?
It's just
was
3.
it just 3? Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. They didn't start with the subtitles until 4.
Yeah, it always throws me off because I always forget the order of which ones come out. After.
All right, well, it's 1, 2, 3. That's easy.
Okay, wait, what came after 2 though?
Okay, so after 3, it's Ghost Protocol, then
Right,
Rogue
then
Nation,
Rogue Nation.
then Fallout, then Dead Reckoning Part 1
Okay,
/ just Dead Reckoning.
Yeah, well, we should talk about that because
Let's talk about it.
I feel like is it officially just called Dead Reckoning now? Because I feel like it's still listed as Dead Reckoning Part 1 everywhere. Like I watched it a couple of weeks ago and I'm streaming and it was still saying Part 1.
Okay. Well, I had thought that they had officially changed.
See, I did too, but maybe I don't know, but yeah, like when I looked it up on IMDb, it's still listed as Part 1.
Well, this one's definitely just Final Reckoning.
Yeah, I know.
It's not a Part 2.
It's funny that they did that because I'm like they kind of ruined the naming with that one.
They did ruin the naming.
You could just they're just retconning it though. Maybe they will just call it Dead Reckoning.
Well, I think Paramount wasn't sure if like the reason why Dead Reckoning Part 1 underperformed was
because it was a Part
because
1.
the Part 1 or because like Oppenheimer just like ate all of the IMAX screens. And
No, I wouldn't be surprised.
It's obviously Oppenheimer eating all the screens.
It is, but I think there is some credence behind like the Part 1 thing not working very well.
Yeah,
because I think that's why they changed the Spider-Verse name as well. That was supposed to be a Part 1.
That's right. Yeah,
and
both those around the same time too, right?
Yeah, and they never could put a Part 1 in. Well, not at least not in the actual name or the marketing of Dune. I don't think, right? He just when he brought Dune out, it was just Dune, and then Part 1 just like popped up, and I was like, what?
Yeah,
that's ballsy.
Well, and I think that's the same thing for Wicked, right? Like Wicked.
Oh yeah, Wicked, very true. Yeah,
people found out it was a Part 1 at the theater.
Yeah, like I literally just had a moment there where I was like, Wicked was a Part 1. Like I did see that in the theater, and I had forgotten about that. But yeah, I'd not seen the play or anything, so yeah. But no, I think they have made that realization that you need to just bury the fact that it's a Part 1 if people don't know, and just otherwise, people are like, why would I go see half a movie and pay $20?
And there's a third element that we haven't mentioned yet, is that they showed the best stunt.
Oh man, did they ever show it? Holy crap.
And like they showed it from every angle and how they did it.
They showed it multiple times.
Because they've done this successfully before where they've shown a stunt and it got people excited.
Yeah,
but this was the definitive climactic stunt.
It was such a big deal as well. And yeah, they really just showed that so front and center. And like there was trailers that was just an entire like featurette on that stunt. It was like, seriously?
And like you just watched this movie recently, so
yeah, like a week or two ago.
You can maybe explain this to me, like, because when I saw that, like, I still don't think there was a good reason for him to have jumped off that mountain with the motorcycle. It seems very convoluted.
Well, yeah, I mean, they did do like a pretty good job, and like it was a bit of a tense situation where I was like trying to figure out how do we get over here, because I always forget Simon Pegg's character's name, but
Benji.
Yeah, Benji was like, I can get you to the top of the mountain, you're gonna have to jump off. And then like Ethan was like, well, I can't jump off here and wait, like I'll just like smash into all the rock face because it's too jagged. And then he's like, okay, I need to shoot myself far enough out,
right,
before I can
but
shoot.
Why couldn't he have just been on that train?
Well, he missed the jump off though, right? Like because they didn't anticipate that. The bad guy's name, which I can't remember.
Gabriel.
Hey,
you're the one who watched this movie.
I know, but I'm terrible for details on stuff like, because Gabriel puts the train into like full acceleration and snaps the things off. So it's a runaway train. But they weren't accounting for that. So he's too late to jump on at the point he was supposed to.
I know, but why was Haley Atwell already on the train and then he wasn't on the train to begin with?
That's a great question.
That's mostly my question.
I believe there is a line of dialogue where it's like, and I'm going to say something stupid here, where it's like, no, I'll tell you exactly why.
Okay.
He's supposed to be on the train with her, but the mask machine breaks down in the middle of making his mask. So he can't sneak on the train because they're looking for him.
He can sneak on his luggage.
It's funny. It's quite. It does make you think though, because like these are supposed to be master spies, right? And without this machine, apparently they can't create a decent disguise. I'd be like, just throw on a fake mustache and wear a beanie.
They've never seen in like Flint before, where
it's like surely you can make a disguise. You're supposed to be the best spy in the world. Like without this high tech machine, you literally can't just shave your hair off. Like what's the problem?
Well, and these movies are all about AI, right? Not being able to use technology.
True.
So maybe them going back to the basics of like
low-tech.
just wearing a. And I'd say you should call it a toque. Don't call it a beanie.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I just like the teeny weeny beanie. That's all I think.
Teeny weeny, like the one with like the little propeller on the top.
Like the song from the Kimmel song that he did with what's his name? Ant-Man.
Oh, I don't know this song.
The teeny weeny beanie.
You did that with Paul Rudd?
Yeah, Paul Rudd. Look up teeny weeny beanie song. Every time someone says beanie, that's all I can think of.
Well, it just gets me mad because I don't like calling it a beanie.
Well, I just call it a hat, so I don't know what to tell you.
Okay, there you go. Anyway, so we can maybe go do like a recap of the plot, but I wanted to ask what your favorite Mission Impossible movie was.
Oh, that's tricky. I have this problem where a lot of, and I really want to do I should have done it before this movie, but I really wanted to do a rewatch because a lot of them sort of bleed into each other for me, and I sort of forget which scenes are from which movie. So yeah, I don't know, that's really tricky. I remember really liking the JJ one. Which one was that again? The 3?
3, yeah.
I do remember really liking that one, and I felt like that one really like tied it off where that could have been the last one of the series, and it would have been really it would have really worked well. Not that I was sad that it came back, but and I don't think, and it didn't have like the biggest stunts or anything in it, but I think it just as a contained story, I really like that one.
Well, and that's a good point that like they've been talking about like moving away from Tom Cruise in this franchise since the third movie.
I feel like they can't move forward without him at this point, right?
Because 4 was originally supposed to be a handoff between Cruise and Remmer.
Yes,
but then
I forgot.
But then like they just like called an audible halfway through, and they're like, no, let's just keep going with this guy, and that's why like Remmer is not like in the other ones a little bit, but not really. He's not like a core member of the team.
I kind of forgot he was in him, to be honest with you.
But to me, like, I think one of the best action movies ever made is Fallout. I love that movie. It's like, if that was the last one, like, I don't think anyone would have been crying.
No, I agree.
Henry Cavill's honestly one of the best villains ever in that movie.
With his reloading arms, that fight in the bathroom is pretty amazing.
It's just epic.
Yeah, that is a great one. But that's what I mean. They're all got such great, especially like you say, from like 3 or 4 on. From 4 onwards, like the 4 onwards kind of blur together for me, but they're all amazing. But it's like it sounds like it's a bad thing, but I'm not trying to say it's a bad thing. It's like it's just one long amazing sequence of stuff happening.
I think you're right though. Like from 4 onwards, they like the philosophy sort of just changed, and like let's just figure out great set pieces and then design movies around that.
Exactly.
But then they all work as like such great self-contained action pieces, and they've done a really good job of making the plot make sense in between all of those. Yeah. Like the last one was, I think, like getting a little bit.
It does sloppy. Get a little bit. It was a lot of like, oh, it's computer voodoo doo. There's a few bits where I'm like, I'm not really sure what's going on. And to be honest, I have heard that this one, the final reckoning, is a bit like that in places where you're just like, I'm not entirely sure what's happening, but you know what? I'm just gonna go with it, which I'm happy to do with these movies.
It's still like, this is the one franchise everything's happening in like they're doing it all for real, basically. Like they're doing CGI as little as possible.
Exactly. Yeah.
And like we
I'm
might
looking forward to the stunts in this one.
We honestly might not ever see a franchise like this again.
No, especially with an actor as big as Tom Cruise, like doing all this stuff, like
literally risking his life every time.
I can't see another person like that ever coming through, because he was like one of the biggest stars in the world, and he's just like doing he's doing some crazy shit and like amazing stunts. But like they don't usually go together, those two things.
Well, yeah, he's really not going to be happy until he just dies on the movie set.
It would seem like it, right?
He'll just like have a big smile on his face, then go up to the big Scientology god in the sky or whatever.
Go up on his spaceship.
Go up in the spaceship, yeah. But like, yes, I did it.
It would be very fitting if he did eventually just die. And then they give him, and they finally give him the stunt Oscar when that gets through with the Academy Awards.
Because yes, is stunt Oscar happening or that one?
Yeah, I think it is.
No, that isn't that the one that's not happening.
No, I thought they announced that it was coming, like not next year, but like they're definitely going to move forward with it.
I thought they announced they were doing one for casting, but not for stunt work.
Oh, I'd only heard stunt work, but I mean that was a few weeks ago, so maybe it was like a rumor. And
okay,
it never came to pass.
let's check that in between.
Yeah, we'll get back to
in between segments.
They freaking should do stunt performing. Like, you said they're going to do an Oscar for casting director.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which, like, I don't know, you watch a movie like Sinners and you're like, man, they did a great job casting this.
I mean, yeah, I mean, not to throw shade on casting directors, but I mean, like, there's also a lot of other people who work on movies that have great skill and do a really good job. You can't give Oscars to them all.
Yeah, that's like, I think, like, I am in favor of as many awards as possible.
Well, you just want to sit there for a full 24 hours just watching them give out awards.
Kind of.
Yeah, I'm like, there's enough already. Although, don't they do like you're a big Oscars guy? Don't they have like the technical awards that they don't actually do on the night, and they just kind of do them the day before or something at a different venue? They used to do that, I'm pretty sure.
They used to do that. Now everything and they like tried to like not televise more and more things, but it's gotten to be that like people were complaining or whatever. Like they try to move cinematography to not being televised. Like,
they tried to make all the technical things, right?
Yeah, it's like 4 years ago or something. They tried to move all the technical stuff out of the main show, including editing and cinematography, which are like
that's a bit
the two fucking things that make movies basically are editing and cinematography. So people were really mad, and there was like a bounce back for that.
Yeah, let's just remove editing altogether and just do like best grip.
But there is like an
key grip.
There is like an untelevised show that like they give out like they give out like the lifetime achievement Oscars or whatever, and then I think there's some other awards that get handed out there, but maybe they're not considered competitive. I don't know all the awards that are handed out there.
Yeah, I'm not a big awards guy, but yeah, I would like to see, and I understand the argument against doing stunt awards. The fear is that it'll just push stunt teams to do crazier and crazier shit, trying to win awards and become dangerous and stuff. But I don't buy that argument really.
Honestly, might be worth it.
They should do dangerous shit and almost die.
Well, but like there's just it's swung too far back the other way now, and that like hardly anything's real anymore.
Yeah, well that's true. But I mean, the stunt teams that are doing it, they're already like going overboard trying to outdo each other anyway. Like, throwing a golden statue in the mix, I don't think is really going to change much apart from like giving them the recognition that they deserve.
Like, I want to see how long we can have one person be on fire in one uninterrupted take. And they give out an award every year to the person who has done it the longest.
The Burning Man Award.
Yeah.
See, that sounds dangerous. It's like, how long can you flatline for? You only did 40 seconds. That's lame. So Tom Cruise was flatlining for 20 minutes.
Oh yeah, he would definitely be going for that one. Okay, like did you want to do like a 60-second recap of Dead Reckoning Part 1?
I mean, I can give it a go, but I've probably forgotten, even though it was a couple of weeks ago. So the main thrust of Dead Reckoning Part 1, and this is what I mean.
The entity.
It confuses me. So the entity was developed by somebody. I think the US government.
Yeah, I think by CIA.
And then it infiltrated a Russian submarine who somehow has the
kill switch
switch for it thing, right? Yeah. So it engineered that ship to be blown up.
But then that didn't work.
Well, it did. It blew. The submarine blew up and went to the bottom of the ocean. But then there's two keys that they need to open the MacGuffin box.
Yeah.
So everybody's looking for these two parts of this key.
And Gabriel is like
he's like the human avatar for the entity. He's like his sycophant.
And he and Ethan have a history.
Yeah, he and Ethan have a history of, I guess.
That was the worst part of the movie, I think. Like,
yeah, I mean, I know what they were trying to make it personal for him, which they always do, but
that was that's what was wrong with Spectre. What was wrong with Star Trek Into Darkness or whatever. Like,
it's like the fate of the world is enough. You don't have to make it. And I guess the point is like, the entity was like, oh, he's just going to be emotional and kill Gabriel because Like that's why he picked Gabriel, because he knew that Ethan Hunt was this super smart AI knew that Ethan Hunt was the only person in the world that could stop him.
Yeah, I feel like you could
So came up with a plan to get the guy who he hates the most to be his helper, so that he would just kill him. It's like,
I think
that is a weird, convoluted plan, my friend.
I think this AI just fucking lives for the drama. Like
It does a bit, right? It's like it can calculate every possible eventuality. It's like, so why is it doing this super dramatic one? Just have him get hit by a car or something.
Well, he had Ethan Hunt in the airport. I feel like he could have had him shot by.
Well, he did try to blow the plane up, but to be fair, I get no, he didn't. It was a fake bomb. See, I've forgotten the whole fucking thing already. Anyway, let's skipping through it. So
Rebecca Ferguson
has part of the key. So
we don't have to go this deep.
No, that's how it starts. And
Yeah,
so that's how Ethan gets brought in, because he gets sent to track down Rebecca Ferguson to find that half of the key so he can get the other half of the key. And basically, he gets the key. Of course, he does. And then what's her name? Who's Invisible Girl? She was in the Fantastic Four movie.
Jessica Alba?
No, the new one.
The new Vanessa Kirby.
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so the one that was in the Mission Impossible movie.
To be honest, sorry, I thought you were just confusing Haley Atwell
with Jessica Alba. No, yeah. So I skipped over Haley Atwell. She's just a thief who, I guess, Gabriel hired to steal the key, but even though he knew she wouldn't, I don't know, whatever. So she gets brought into the mix because she had the key. So she ends up being sort of drawn into this stuff with Ethan. And then they go to, where are they? Venice? Somewhere?
Yeah, they're Venice.
All over the world. So anyway, there's hijinks. And
well, Ethan and...
See, you know more than me. You've seen it like years ago.
I can't remember Rebecca Ferguson's character's name, but
I can't remember either. Yeah, there's that.
There's
a whole bit where he has to pick who's gonna die.
Yeah, she dies.
Rebecca Ferguson dies so that Haley Atwell could live.
Well,
sort of.
I actually do have context on this because Ferguson decided to step away from the franchise because
it was interesting that they even brought her back. Really, I mean, they didn't need her in this movie, but even though I really like the character,
the fans love her. Like she's honestly.
She was the best thing.
Such a great character.
Yeah. And then they sort of fake kill her off right at the beginning. So that was pretty clever because people were like, oh, she's leaving the franchise. They're going to kill her off, which they do immediately. And then they do an about turn. Like, oh, psych, she wasn't dead after all. And she was actually a bigger part in the movie. But anyway, she does die in the end. Gabriel kills her.
Anyway, the whole thing ends on a train.
Yeah, so that's why I was getting to Vanessa Kirby because...
Wait, who has the key at the end?
So at the end, Ethan has the key. He did a switcheroo with Gabriel, so he has the key, but he's just figured out where the submarine is.
Oh yeah, it was like the same ending as Vengeance Most Foul, which is so funny.
It's a great, it really was. But that whole sequence on the train was so amazing. But yeah, so basically they need to stop the entity by getting to this submarine. The Stuff, I forget what it's called. I was pretty close. I'm gonna give myself that.
The Testicle? Is that what you said?
Trustful? It's like a city, I think.
Okay.
Trustful? I don't know. I'm trying to say a Russian city name. I'm not very good at it.
Anyways, there's going to be a great underwater submarine scene.
I hear there is a great submarine scene, and that's one of the best. But I don't know any of the big actions here. I did a terrible job of recapping the last movie, but just go to Wikipedia. It's fine.
You did a great job, man. I'm proud of you.
There's people in it. They do stuff.
So we should get to Superman 3 though, right?
Yeah, I forgot about that. We've only got 12 minutes left.
All right, folks. So Pete and I have these ongoing projects where we, cover a series of movies, and we're doing every single live-action Superman movie. This is week 4.
Yeah,
we are on
into it now.
Superman 3. We're going through the Christoper Reeve movies right now, but we also did the Golden Age Superman's movies. So if you're just tuning in now, make sure to go back and listen to those segments. At least. And then if you're not interested in Superman, just jump ahead in the time code that's listed below. You can listen to our immediate reactions for Mission Impossible Final Reckoning.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Let's get into Superman.
Okay, let's talk soup.
So you said that you'd never seen Superman 3, is that correct?
I have caught few minutes of this on cable. I thought that I'd seen a lot more of this, and as I was watching it, I realized okay, no, I've definitively hardly seen any of this. I've seen a lot of Richard Pryor doing a crazy face, going oh man, this is crazy.
That's
what's happening right now.
Any 80s Richard Pryor movie, though. To be fair,
yeah.
But no, okay.
So I've never seen this before. I do not
get your unfiltered opinion here.
So my unfiltered opinion is I think this movie is really stupid, but I find it charming.
Really, that's
Yeah.
really interesting because it's funny because if you've been listening along with me with us on this Superman journey, I've mentioned before that I had a real soft spot for Superman 3. It's the one that I had recorded off the TV when I was a kid and I saw more than anything else. And like I have like when you watch a movie and just like certain scenes and stuff just take you right back to when you were a kid. Like that's this movie for me. There's so many scenes in this movie that do that for me. But I watched it. I watched it today actually, and I was like, "This is a pretty bad movie."
It's like it's kind of atrocious.
I can understand why it has the reputation as being one of the worst. I think it's on like a 20% Rotten Tomatoes score or something. Not that I give much credence to those, but I mean, understandably so. It's a pretty and like even the cast like admitted that they didn't like it. I think Christoper Reeve said it was the one he didn't like the most.
Yeah.
In his memoir, and even Richard Pryor said he just did it for the money and he thought it was a bad screenplay.
Well, so I was reading like they basically just cast him because he said on a talk show that how much he loves Superman, and then they called him up and said, "Hey, do you want to be in the new movie?"
Yeah, he did. I think he did the bit where like he puts the cape on. He's like, "Oh, I'm playing like Superman." So they're like, "Oh, just do that in the movie."
Do you like Richard Pryor?
I do like Richard Pryor.
I feel like our youngest listeners are probably going to have no idea who Richard Pryor was.
But especially those movies in the 80s, the ones he did with Gene Wilder.
Yeah, like they were just such a good comic team. I don't think I like love any of those movies, but like they did have something special.
Yeah, the two of those together was. I mean,
like See No Evil, Hear No Evil is really good.
Love that one.
But like it's pretty like gross out comedy. Like that hasn't aged.
And it's very much like very of its time in the 80s. Like if I watched him now, I'd probably be like, oh, you know what? It's not that good.
Yeah.
And he has but like obviously the movies were a bit of a toned down Pryor as well from his stand up. It's a bit like Eddie Murphy. Like a lot of the shit he said in stand up, they had to tone it down.
Well, and
especially for a Superman movie.
Eddie Murphy's a good analog because Eddie Murphy is, I would say, a very good actor, whereas Richard Pryor is not a good actor. Like he just has this charisma about him, and like he has like this everyman thing going on, but he's also just like a savant. Like he's just a genius computer programmer hacker.
It's funny because I was watching this movie and a part of me was just like, it's like they took an 80s Richard Pryor movie and just like superimposed a really poor Superman script on top of it, and that's this movie.
Well, because we were mentioned before in Superman 2 when Richard Lester takes over directing, he's moving it more towards being comedy and a slapstick.
This one is just full on. It's just full on.
There's there's an actual pie in the face to open the movie.
Yeah, the opening sequence of this movie is just like pratfalls, like a literal pie in the face.
Blind guy's like leading a line marker,
and like a literal like wind up penguin hopping around on fire. It's just like insanity.
It's like what are your goals?
It's like this is I was like, this Superman movie, what's happening? And honestly, I got the impression as well that even Christoper Reeve was a bit like, he didn't look like he was giving it his all in this movie. It was a bit like, I don't know if I think a lot of that was down to the script, but the screenplay in general, but I don't know, he just seemed like his heart wasn't in it as much.
Well, I think the times when he is playing evil Superman in this movie,
he loved doing that.
He's really into doing that.
I think that's my favorite part about this movie. It's Superman stuff.
At that point, the movie definitely has some juice going on to it.
Yeah. And you can tell he's having a great time. It's just like, that's what I remember for a kid. It's like, you can tell he's evil because he's not shaved and his suit's slightly darker. He's got more of a burgundy cape for some reason.
And he's not up to like some super evil shit. He's mostly just being
a dick.
He's being like Bugs Bunny, basically.
He is. He's just like, I'm gonna make the Leaning Tower of Pisa straight. It's like, whoa.
Oh yeah, like that's the first thing he does, and then it immediately cuts to like, every country in the world, except for Colombia, sanctions Superman. I'm like, guys, like he saved
what else has he been doing?
He saved the Earth multiple times. Like we can maybe give him like a little bit leeway here.
And like I didn't remember him being so like creepy when I was a kid. Like the scene where he first goes evil when he's with Lana. I was like, oh my god, he's like a sex pest.
Well, yeah, when he sits down with Lana, like
she's like, I'm not going anywhere, and
she is afraid. Like
I was super uncomfortable watching that. I don't remember that scene.
Credit to both the actors in that scene because like they they're playing it like really scary. Like
Right?
like
That's what I mean. It got super dark. I was like, holy crap! Like they're
Yeah.
really saying he's a bad guy.
So
Then he's just like, I'm gonna get drunk and flick peanuts at the bottles, which I don't think the science of that really works very well. I don't think you can flick a peanut hard enough to break glass, but whatever, maybe.
you never know.
Wouldn't it just like disintegrate as he flicked it that hard? But
It probably should.
semantics.
So I have a question about Clark Kent because
Shoot.
he like sort of broke up with Lois Lane at the end of the second one, then before he wiped her memory, because he's like, well, I need to stay as Superman, so obviously we can't be together.
Yes.
So why is Clark Kent like still just trying to get a girlfriend all the time? Like, what is his goal here?
Well, yeah, like he almost seems like he still wants to date Lois at the start for that one scene that Margot Kidder is in.
Yeah.
And then, I guess like Superman's just horny, man. Give him a break.
He's so he just like he wants to get like as close to sex as possible, but without having sex.
He just wants to hit it and quit it, man, like he did with Lois.
But yeah, like we had a theory from the second one that like he actually couldn't have sex in Superman form, but evil Superman is so horny, he will just go off and rip open a tanker, no questions asked, just to have sex with this random woman hanging out of the top of the Statue of Liberty.
None of that made any sense, did it really?
But like he's Superman, like you think that he could just like
he's like, hey, just rock up
get
to a
women
club
or whatever,
rock up to a club. Go home with anyone you want.
That was so stupid. That was really stupid.
Very stupid.
But I like like the scene of Clark and evil Superman fighting each other.
That's my favorite part of the entire movie, and what I remember most from watching it as a kid, just the fight between evil Superman and Clark Kent, I just love so much. Although I do remember being slightly confused when I was a kid, and still when I watched it today, I was a little confused. It was like, are they actually two different people, or is this more of like a meta? Like this is he's fighting himself in his own mind.
I think that Richard Lester probably doesn't know, but I would like to interpret it as that was just happening in his mind.
Because that would be amazing to see. Like, how does that?
Well, that's just like Fight Club, right?
Like, yeah, exactly. Like he throws a tire and quickly runs to the other end, so it falls on him.
Yeah.
I love how whenever people are fighting Superman, even when he's fighting himself, they seem to have no idea of his power set. It's like, I know how I'll stop Superman. I'll throw 4 tires on him. Yeah. He'll never get out of that. And then he bursts out the tires and he looks shocked. He's like, oh man, he burst out the tires. Like, yeah, no shit, it's Superman.
It's like, you are him. Like,
yeah,
what do you think is going on here?
Think is going to happen? And then evil Superman's like, oh, I'll just put him in this crusher because that'll kill Superman. Or it's like, I'll kick him into this vat of acid that is somehow hanging out at the scrapyard, and that'll definitely kill him. It's like, it definitely won't. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah. But that's what I always thought, because at the end when he's throttling him and he just kind of disappears, it's like that's him finally getting right in his own head. So yeah, I'm on your page, man. It's like a Fight Club situation. I love that though.
Well, it was very enjoyable. Like, again, I don't think that they have a good grasp on the character of Superman.
No, not at all. Yeah, even like that's what I mean. Every scene in this movie, like how he's like delivering the lines and the lines he's saying, like it's definitely not the same as the Superman from the first 2 movies.
Yeah,
which might make sense.
I still love Reeve throughout.
Oh man, he's so good. Yeah,
I think in like the final battle with the robot computer thing, you can see like, it's probably wearing a little thin on him.
He's like, I'm doing what now? I've got this goop that's gonna. What's the line he says at the end? He died from acid indigestion or something else. Seriously, Superman?
Yeah, that was kind of lame. But the movie's definitely poorer for Lois Lane not being in it.
Yeah,
because like you miss their dynamic, which is probably my favorite thing about those first 2 movies.
Yeah. And like Lana Lang was a decent character, and I always liked that, like the high school girlfriend angle of it, but like there was some stuff was pretty weird, like having her be a single mom and having Clark be this weird pseudo stepdad just all of a sudden, even though he's just showing up in the weird drunk like high school football guy.
Well, it is kind of confusing because like that drunk high school football guy is not her ex-husband. No. She's married to a different loser from high school.
Did you explain what happened to the father?
She said he just like took off or whatever, and then
kind of weird.
There's just like there's this former guy reliving his glory days. He's like, hey, you should date me because I was the prom king.
It's like, there's nobody else in Smallville who'll date you. It's like, that seems not likely, but whatever.
Yeah. And like she's the mom from Smallville.
Yeah,
eh?
she was Tom Weller's mom, right?
Yeah.
Weller?
Tom Welling. Tom
Welling.
Welling?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. Yeah, Tom Welling.
Weller is a RoboCop, right? Peter Weller.
Peter Weller. I do like Richard Pryor, and like he's giving the movie juice whenever he's on screen.
He does. I mean, he steals the show. If he wasn't in it, it would have been a terrible movie.
Well, but like, there's hardly any Superman in this.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I mean. There's
like,
not that much at all.
I guess if they don't cast Richard Pryor, then they just make the movie different.
Oh,
and maybe it's better
movie.
For that.
Well, I read that the initial screenplay was totally different, and it was all about Mr. Mxyzptlk and Brainiac.
Well, Brainiac makes sense with all the computer stuff, right?
Basically Brainiac at the end there anyway. But yeah, they said that they would.
But it's all like original villains and stuff in this one.
No, they didn't pull anything from the comic books in this one, which is an interesting choice.
And I'd never heard of synthetic kryptonite before, but I guess that's been like a recurring thing.
Yeah, well, it's one of those. It's like the red kryptonite and the black kryptonite, and there's there's always a kryptonite that does whatever the story needs it to do. This is a bit of a trope in Superman, but no, I love that. He's just like, I'll throw tar in it. It does the weirdest.
Just because he's smoking cigarettes at the time.
Does the weirdest shit ever to Superman. It's like
turns him into the Three Stooges bit.
Yeah.
And this was like a very early hacker movie. This movie came out the same year as War Games.
And you know what I really didn't remember about this movie? But it's basically Office Space just ripped the story off.
But in Office Space, they say it's just like from Superman 3.
Oh, do they? I have not seen that movie for a while, so I didn't realize.
He's explaining to it, and like
Superman 3, that's amazing.
I thought that was going to be more of the plot, but that was really just the introduction.
That's why I forgot it was in there, because it's barely worth talking about.
We're stealing like round-offs of a cent going into an account, right? And then the guy's like, I don't understand. It's just like from Superman 3.
Yeah, it's funny because like they make that a really like focused part of the plot for a lot of the beginning part of the movie, and
it doesn't
really make any difference to the overall plot. That's what I mean. It's like that was a different movie that they just like dropped into this weak screenplay. Said, "Oh, this is a cool bit we'll put in. This will be the first 20 minutes of the movie." It's like, but it doesn't make any sense. It's nothing to do with the movie.
Well, yeah, it's early hacker stuff, and they're like, well,
everything's 80s computer stuff.
Everything's connected to the computer, so this can do anything. It can make like a light signal go up and fight like the "Don't Walk" signal or whatever.
That's the stuff that I remember as a kid, like the Don't Walk and the Walk guys like fighting each other.
Yeah.
Which I thought was hilarious because they don't really have. I guess it's Metropolis, right? Because it's usually the Walk Don't Walk, but the Red and the Green Man, that was a very British thing. So I loved that growing up. Do they have it here though, don't they? The Red and the Green Man.
It's like an orange hand.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like in England, it's a red man and a green man. That's why I feel like it's weird because in Metropolis, it's the same.
Yeah, I don't know what it's like.
The same as in the UK.
It's mostly just an orange hand.
Yeah. Well, they have Walk and Don't Walk like in New York, right?
So we have a pretty global fan base. So like, right into our email address to
what does your walk signal?
Yeah, what do your walk signals look like? We want to know. Or you know what? It's more often like it's a white dude in an orange hand.
An orange hand. Yeah, that's right. I obviously don't walk around very much because I totally forgot.
But it can differ based on where you are.
Yeah, sure. True enough. Well, I think
is there any purple in there?
Well, they did. Speaking of which, they did all the external shooting in this movie in Calgary.
Oh, that makes sense.
I think it was Calgary. Did I get that wrong? Somewhere out.
Somewhere in the prairies.
I think so.
Like that was Smallville.
I don't know about.
Or that was like the desert.
Yeah, I don't know. I just read something.
Well, yeah, the desert's probably just like Eastern California or something.
Yeah, well, I think it was mostly like Pinewood on set or like in Canada somewhere.
Okay.
But yeah, I probably should have wrote that down because I've totally forgotten. But anyway.
Well, so I still like this movie. Like it still has something going on. Like it has a lot of like parts that I like, even though I don't think it's a very good movie.
Yeah, I felt the same way. Like, because I remember I was watching it, I was like, oh, these are the bits that I loved as a kid, and I watch them now, I was like, that's a bit hokey, and that's kind of dumb. But I still do love certain bits of this movie, especially just for nostalgia.
I love that Superman tries to set him up with a job. And he's like, nah, I don't want to work here.
That's not really my scene. I remember loving how he just crushes the piece of coal into a diamond. But like in the context of the movie, it's like, so he can give it to Lana, but like
as a replacement for her old. Yeah, and like they set it up so like it looks like he's proposing, but he's not.
Yeah, and then like when she's in the Daily Planet, and Lois is like, "Oh, where'd you get the ring from?" And she's like, "Clark gave it to me." Like that's a really weird thing to say to someone. It's like
He just this is
Like,
all about making Lois
but
jealous.
to be fair, he told her that Superman gave it to her, which would have made her even more jealous, probably. Actually,
Yeah, I don't. Like I think that Clark is trying to get as close to sex as possible without
That's what I
actually
mean.
having sex.
Well,
I don't know why he's
know.
torturing himself like this.
I know he should just be like, "I'll just have sex with whoever I want," and then just wipe their memory. But I guess that would be problematic.
But again, like I don't think he should. I don't think he's
I
actually.
don't think he should do that. Don't push the
You know
boat
what?
too
You
much.
know what,
now, Trevor.
Pete? I'm gonna say that he should not roofie people. That's what I'm gonna say.
What about for the
That's just my
greater
opinion.
good, Trevor? If the fate of the world depends on it.
Okay. And the fate of the world depends on Ethan Hunt and
Yes.
and defeating the entity. So we have
Right.
we have arrived at the theater. So if you're new to the podcast, Pete and I are going to go inside and watch Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning and come back and give you our immediate reactions after seeing the movie
On IMAX as well. No.
on
less.
IMAX, IMAX. There you go.
One last thing on that, Trevor. Do you think it will be the final reckoning? Do you think Ethan Hunt's gonna
No,
bite the dust?
no,
No.
no.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if he did too.
I don't think
It's too lucrative.
I don't think Tom Cruise ever wants to stop doing these.
They'll probably. I feel like they might do like. Maybe he's dead.
Well,
he fell off something.
do the
real high.
John Wick 4
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, he's coming back as well again, isn't he? Do the Chev Chelios things, like he died, but then he got better.
Well, like Tom Cruise wants to go and do one of these in space, and they're not going to stop until they do that.
Yeah, probably true.
I don't care if like Ethan Hunt gets shot 5 times in the face. This is not Tom Cruise's last Mission Impossible.
Like they
movie.
could, and even if they do kill him off, they could just make another one and be like, "Oh, that wasn't really Ethan Hunt. That was just some other guy with a mask on. Ethan Hunt was over there.
That was a wizard.
A wizard did it."
All right, we should hop in because I've heard
let's
there's
go.
no trailers for this one. hardly.
Okay, yeah, we should get. We don't want to miss the start.
Okay, wish us luck, everybody.
Yeah, don't go anywhere, guys. Welcome back, everyone. We're on the road, back home. Try not to flip it over, Trevor. I want to grab onto my seatbelt and just save my life.
Yeah, a few things flipped in this movie.
Well, yeah, it's a Mission Impossible movie. Stuff's going to be flipping over. What did you think, Trevor? I thought that was pretty good.
I really, really, really liked it overall.
It was pretty great. Long movie though. Full disclosure, it's like 1:30 in the morning right now.
Yeah, I think the first hour and a bit probably won't work for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a whole lot of setting up.
I don't think it worked for me that first because
Yeah,
there's like a lot of like the way that first hour is filmed and edited is kind of unlike anything else in the whole series.
I know what you mean. It was a bit strange. It was going for, I guess not spoiling anything, but it was very much like harkening back to previous movies, even just with a nod. Like it was made like it was very much a farewell swan song, I thought, because it was like brought a lot of scenes. Like it just kept showing clips of earlier movies.
Yeah.
Like just like interspersed, like even at the very opening of the movie. So it's not really a spoiler or anything, but it's like showing clips from all of the movies actually, and just like I was like, oh okay, yeah, this is like this is the culmination of Ethan Hunt's entire journey.
It's maybe like a 2-second clip from MI2.
Yeah,
that's
he's riding the bike through the fire or whatever. Yeah, but yeah, I think they really did a job of trying to like we were talking. It's funny because we were talking before I went in about how a lot of them were kind of disconnected at the beginning as well. But like I felt like they did a really good job of like you could see this being bringing all the threads together from different movies and to be this like to put Ethan in the spot that he was in to be able to do what he does in this movie. I thought it did that pretty well. But yeah, I know what you mean though. It was like the first like entire hour of the movie was like not a lot of action stuff going on, and
there's a lot of revisiting the past,
a lot of setting the table, and
recontextualizing what we already knew from the last movie,
explaining again what happened in the last movie, which is good for me because as we all know, I didn't have a clue trying to explain it earlier.
Like we all know that the submarine is going to be the big set piece it's building up to.
Yeah.
And the movie is really, really, really preparing you for that.
True. Yeah. Yeah. Which is funny because like that's how the first movie ended. It was like, well, now we're going to get the submarine, and it's like, well, weren't you doing that at the end of the last movie? Like, why is it taking you an hour to get there?
So I would say if you trimmed that first act maybe in half, this would be the best of the entire series.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah, I mean, I can't argue with that. I wonder what it would be like on a second viewing, because I do think it has a lot to talk about and a lot to get into. But you could, yeah, at least you could probably. I'm pretty sure you're right. You could probably have cut it down a little bit.
Yeah, and I honestly think if it wasn't trying to make so many connections to all the previous entries, it would have been better for it.
Yeah, it didn't seem like I understand what they were doing, and they did it well, but it wasn't necessary really. Maybe I don't know.
Well, and yeah, there were like a few harkens back to like very specific things from the previous movies.
Yeah.
And I don't really know if I loved any of them.
Yeah, it was getting a bit towards like legacy sequel stuff when they do that. When it's like, hey, you remember this thing that was never meant to be really anything from the old movies? We're gonna make it a thing now by bringing it back and saying it's this. And it's like, do you really need to do that?
Exactly. Like it reminded me a lot.
Without spoiling it, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of, you know, when James Bond walks into the the room with Blofeld and he says, I'm the master of your pain.
Yeah.
All the movies that had come before where I was actually the architect, and you know, everything was building to this moment, all the stuff you were doing before.
Yeah, and it's like
it just
yeah.
So like that's all the stuff that I didn't really love about the movie, but honestly, from the point where Ethan Hunt jumps into a body of water, I think the movie is really humming along, and it's great. Like it's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's why it's like almost 3 hours long. Is because even though it takes a lot of time to set the table and give you bits of information, it does then spend a whole lot of time, just like you say, just like humming along with some it's pretty much insane stunts, man. I was like, it's so weird when I don't know how it does this, but when I watch a movie like this and I'm like, I know that Ethan Hunt's character is not going to die because we're only halfway through the movie, but I'm literally like fearful of like, how is he going to survive this? And a bigger part of me is a bit fearful. Is like, how is Tom Cruise going to survive this? Because like, why is he doing this? That looks so dangerous. Like, how is he not dead?
There were certainly some things that like made you hold the edge of your seat. Like,
it's just hard to watch almost. It's like, it's so breathtaking. It's crazy.
And you got to see it in IMAX. Like, or the biggest screen available. Like it. And Tom Cruise came out again before the movie and said, "We filmed this in IMAX."
It was a nice little message from Tom.
Thank you for supporting movies. You know, he did this before Maverick. Yeah, he did it before the last Mission Impossible one. So he's like, "I'm the president of movies, and I've come to thank you for."
He pretty much is these days. And like
he kind of is undeniably.
Yeah, I can say what you want about him as his personal life. He's whatever, but
he's a fucking weirdo.
He freaking loves movies, and he works harder than anybody else for movies, in general. You gotta give him props for that, man.
Yeah, like you have to give it. Like, and I am a Tom Cruise fan. I really separate the man from the artist, but like as the artist, I really love everything that he does.
I didn't notice the opening credits of this though, and I don't know if this has been happening, but I just never noticed. But a Tom Cruise production was pretty big.
Yeah, well,
it's like a Tom Cruise production starring Tom Cruise. I was like, okay, we get it.
It's fair. I say it's fair.
Yeah, he deserves it, right? Why not? No, yeah. And I was gonna say something, but I'm trying to tiptoe around spoilers, so I don't know.
Let's just jump out early and just jump into spoilers early.
Like, I thought it was good. Everyone was good in it. The whole crew's back.
Like this one's getting a little bit more mixed reviews. Like I just saw what the Rotten Tomato score is of 80%.
Okay, so still good though, right?
Which is like the second lowest.
I think you're right though. I think it's that opening,
lowest.
Like third of the movie is
Well, it's very unusual editing, and I think the first bit of the movie is not really trusting the audience to kind of get there.
yeah, I know what you mean. It's like a lot of hand holding, right? Like, which maybe they just felt they needed it just because it is pretty complex, some of the stuff they're doing in terms of the plotting. Like I started to feel like I was getting a little bit lost at certain places. But that's not as much as some of the other movies though, to be fair. So maybe,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe they should have just had a bit more faith, maybe.
But yeah, that first hour is kind of like a decompression chamber. It's getting us like
Slowly acclimatizing us
acclimatized to
to Tom Cruise
to the
world.
reality of the Mission Impossible movie. So maybe we did need that. Maybe it would have been too much action and too many scenes without a lot of dialogue.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
potentially.
it's like Christoper McQuarrie knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he really does. Jeez.
Like I would make some changes, but I think for the most part, what I didn't like in the movie, I don't really mind that
Yeah,
it's
no,
there.
I agree with that. There was nothing that happened where you're like, oh, like why did they do that? That's ruined this whole scene.
Yeah.
No.
Now, some of the stuff that they retconned, we'll get into in spoilers, and then we'll also talk about how much love we have for all of the various set pieces and action sequences.
Yes, we'll dig into that for sure.
Okay, why don't we just
Yeah,
hop
let's
off then?
just jump right into it then. I mean,
Okay.
that's a good 10 minutes of faffing around.
Spoilers.
Yeah, we're getting to spoilers then.
All right.
All right, where do you want to start with spoilers?
I don't know. Is there anything to talk about?
Like we can talk about the set piece, we can talk about the character reveals. I find not really a spoiler, but I kind of, how did you feel about them kind of like, hey, look at this, the new team,
Well,
which I feel like they were building up from the first movie.
yeah, but like I feel like there were like too many members coming on too quickly. Like,
Yeah, it felt a bit like they were trying to build to be like, hey, this could be the new Mission Impossible team, which
yeah,
I'm not convinced would work. But yeah, like because I was convinced they killed that Paris character off in the first one. Although I think they did leave a line in where she's like, "Oh, still got a pulse."
yeah, I think that's for contract negotiations.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really mind the new team too much. Like I am glad it didn't seem like that guy from the first one and his wife were gonna be permanent members of the team. That's probably for the best.
Yeah, I'm not. Can we get into that? Because I feel like why did they even go with them there at the end? Like,
Yeah, that's a good because I guess their house burnt down. They had nowhere else to go.
yeah, like pretty cool to bring him back from the first movie. But like I think that was the one where I was like, that doesn't seem necessary. That's
Well,
like when the Legacy sequel pulls in a character
yeah,
from an old movie, and you're like, oh, I kind of remember that guy. He wasn't
like
that important, was he? And he's like, well, he's important now because he's the one we were able to bring back.
like when I first saw him, I like recognized him right away, even with the beard. And I'm like,
Oh,
oh my
really?
gosh, it's actually him. But then they really hit you over the head with who it is.
Yeah.
And then he thanks Ethan Hunt for
Oh,
sending him
yeah.
to Siberia.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, that was
Yeah, yeah, they did hammer it over your head and unnecessarily so.
so. And like,
But then they just kept him around. It was like if it was just a couple of seeds. Like one, I thought he was going to do the self-sacrifice thing when the whole building was burning down, and then somehow he's like, "No, I was fine."
they all made it. Yeah.
And then it's like, "Oh, okay." And so do you want to come along on our like impossible mission? And like, sure. Like when they were driving to that black box, black site, whatever it was at the end, and like they're all in the truck, and then it was like, oh, and the guy and his wife are in the truck behind us, and I was like, why? Why they don't even fit in the truck? Like, why are they coming?
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like they have the particular skill set to really help
No,
out that much.
it was like I guess they just needed extra people there so that somebody could defuse the bomb, and then
yeah, there were too many, but
there was
yeah,
too many people there.
there were too many characters at the end, right? Because even the one guy who was like formerly CIA or whatever.
Yeah, he was
agency
doing nothing.
Who joined the team. He's like, yeah, I'm going to stay here. There's nothing for me to do in
It's
that
like,
other room.
it's like, why? It's like, I don't know, because I'm,
It's like,
I'm here. I don't even know why I'm here.
My skill set is like what Ethan's skill set is, except I'm like 1/10 as good as Ethan is.
Did he shoot? Oh, he was there at the end, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I think he was maybe the one, and I liked him from the last movie as well because they did like a slow build of where like
he was clearly
you could
sympathetic.
tell he was sympathetic to Ethan.
But it should have jumped. It should have jumped last movie.
Yeah. I felt like they set him up in the first movie, and then in this movie they brought him over into the team, but it was literally just to make up numbers. It seemed like because he didn't really do anything.
No, yeah,
he didn't have any skills that nobody else had, and that's what I mean. That scene where they're all in the bunker at the end, it was like they just like they had all these characters like, okay, we need to come up with something for all of these people to do, and it was like, well, what can Paris do? She's like, I don't know, like what's her skills? She can shoot well and fight well, but we're not need any of that.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, well, let's say she has to do some surgery on him, and it's like, all right. Why do we need Haley Atwell here? Because she got fast hands. Oh, okay, cool.
I could buy that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, they did mention it a lot. Like her main skill is that she's a pickpocket. I don't know how that makes you a super spy, but you know what? Who cares?
You just need a base.
You need
to
one
build
thing.
off of.
You need one really good skill, and the rest they can just sort of teach you.
Yeah. The one retcon I didn't really like at all was that the one cop who's chasing him is actually just.
I don't understand why they did that. It was like John Voight's son.
John Voight's son, yeah.
Yeah, that was the one, because I thought they were going to build on that, but they just didn't.
Really could have looked at that right out of the movie, and
yeah,
it would have been fine.
I mean, when they said that, I was like, you know what? He does kind of look like John Voight. I think he was putting it on a bit thick.
Yeah, and the fact that the rabbit's foot from the third movie
was actual entity.
Was like a prototype of the entity. For one, like, I don't think makes any sense because it was always implied that is a virus. It even says biohazard on the side.
Well, that was just a trick, Trevor, because reasons.
I guess so. But like, yeah, like we don't need.
Yeah, it didn't need that. I know what you mean.
We don't need Ethan to be like the grand architect of like the fuck up that is the entity.
Well, that's what I mean. It was almost like, especially towards the end, I was like, is it they positioning this to be like Ethan is like fate personified, and everything that happens is because of him and because it's his role in life? And I was like, are they going to go like all weird metaphysical with this shit?
Well, Alec Baldwin says basically a line like that in the fourth movie.
Oh yeah,
is that No, it's the fifth movie. It's Ethan Hunt.
It's hard to remember which one's which.
Ethan Hunt is the personification of fate.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. He does say that. Maybe I thought I'd just come up with that, but I guess I just hadn't remembered.
No, it's just like it's trying to ground his personal story too much in the story of what's happening right now.
Yeah. That's what I mean. I think it was built like it was definitely built like the last movie of the series, and like building all that together and showing how important he was, and it was all about him. Even when it wasn't really.
But so was number 6, right? Like so was Fallout. It could have ended there, and it could end here, right?
True. Well, it could not.
I think if they're ending it here, people would be happy, and if they decide to do another one and go to outer space, people would also be happy with that too,
right? Would you think people would be happy if there was a Mission Impossible that didn't have Tom Cruise in, and it was headed up by the new team?
No. Who's gonna go see that?
I know, right? It'd be funny though, because if that was the case, like, how long would they be into something before they'd be like, should we just call Ethan Hunt?
Yeah, like we want to see Tom Cruise get as close to death as possible, but not actually die.
It's like, oh, this is getting pretty tricky. We should probably call Ethan Hunt.
Yeah,
like nobody else here is bulletproof. Man, like, I couldn't believe that stuff with the submarine. Like, and I know it's not worth worrying about, but I'm like, how is it possible that this guy would even slightly be able to do any of that?
Yeah.
It's like the first time he jumps into the ocean, he would just be dead within minutes.
Well, just even inside the submarine itself.
Right.
I thought the entire time that they were setting it up that the Russians are going to be like, they have a guy who's there too, and they're going to be fighting in the submarine.
Yeah, they just never followed up on a lot of that stuff.
But I'm so glad that there wasn't a Russian in there.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it
it
was
didn't
just
need
him
it.
navigating itself. Like, this is already like the most impossible thing anyone's ever done.
Yeah, that's a just a segue on that. How do you feel about Gabriel as an antagonist in this movie? Because I didn't really love him in Dead Reckoning Part One. I kind of felt he was a bit like one note, sort of didn't have a lot to do. He's just kind of cartoony, swiddling his mustache and be like, "Ooh, one person's gonna die." He's like a Batman villain. And in this one, I kind of felt the same way. He just kind of he's like, I struggle to understand his motivations a lot of the time, or his plan, and he just seems to just like
Yeah, because
be like, I am just
well,
an amalgamous of nefarious threat. It's like, okay,
he
why?
wants to herald like a new age, right?
I mean, I guess, but like, what? Why though? Like, what's his? Where did he get that motivation from?
from spending too much time online.
Yeah, I guess so. He says that to someone, doesn't he, in the movie?
Yeah, and I think that's just like brilliantly sums
The
up a lot
guy,
of the movie.
the guy that's something. That's the other thing about this movie is like when it started off and it was like, oh, like all information is now being controlled by this entity, and it's all like nobody knows what the truth is, and everything's being like fake news, and like everyone's being radicalized into. And I was like, this is not that far fetched. Thank you very
Well,
much. Like
yeah,
this is depressingly accurate to real life right now.
it's very timely. Like the last movie was really kind of like ringing a warning bell about the use of AI
Yeah, a little bit,
for
right?
for you know using AI to make movies basically,
Yeah,
like and
true,
like
true,
and
true.
turning control over that too. And then this one, it didn't really seem to lean into like the toxic culture that
Yeah, yeah,
the internet has provided for all of us, and how
right.
we're all worse off for being connected to each other.
Yeah, it definitely was. We were saying a lot. Like there was a lot of scenes where it's like showing how news footage, could be doctored to make it look like it's not real, and like some of the generated AI video stuff you see these days is it's pretty
Yeah,
terrifying.
and but for this movie, like everyone had kind of gone analog already.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it was interesting to
so
see.
so the entity was not like inserting itself into the plot all that much. It was
Yeah,
really just a
not like the first
specter
movie,
in the
right?
background. Well, and like they pulled all those tricks in the first one, so I'm kind of glad they
Yeah,
moved
they go
on
into it.
for this one.
Yeah, but I know what you mean though, because there's a lot of like, oh, the entity controls all of cyberspace and controls everything, and it's like we didn't really see any of that apart from like a couple of news reports at the start. But I mean, I guess they didn't really need to. It's just said and done.
Yeah.
I do. That was one thing where I said like sometimes I found it a bit hard to follow. It's like I found it a bit tricky to follow what it was trying to do. So it was trying to get control of all the nuclear powers because that was the only way it would know that it could start it could fire them all at the same time and destroy everything.
Yes.
So it had to wait
Well,
until the last one.
and it also had to wait until it had
It had a place to
it had
hide.
gotten into the bunker so that it could
Yeah.
make sure that it had survived the nuclear holocaust.
But that's what I don't understand. Like when they went to like the emergency bunker with the Americans, like they had that 3 day timer or whatever it was. But like, how did they get that time frame? They were like, oh, it's going to take 3 days for it to infiltrate all of the country's nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you figure that timeline?
They fed it into an AI.
And then
They asked ChatGPT.
and then he was like, oh, but when it does that, it still won't fire him until it's the ball. So it's like, so what's the fucking timer for? It doesn't make any difference when it gets on. Well, it's not going to fire anything unless it gets in this bunker. Well,
Yeah,
I guess they didn't know that. I don't know. Like they're all just guessing what's happening.
But it had also like timed things out for it all.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess
to
maybe it just
go
told
to
them.
that point as well.
Yeah, I just some of that I was a bit like, this seems just like arbitrary timelines, just so that there's peril.
Yeah, no,
which is what it was.
We wanted a ticking clock.
Yeah, that's basically what it was.
But
and the thing was like, oh, like we need to blow up a city and all the cities that control the nuclear armors before it blows us up. Like, I guess that makes sense, but I was a bit like, oh boy, like,
yeah, well, because the machine's the entity's ultimate goal is like the destruction of the human race.
yeah,
And it could have gotten there by like making them blow up themselves, right? But it's
Sure, I
its
guess.
perfect vision was getting control of all of the arsenals, right? And
Yeah.
if the U.S. did decide to blow up all the other arsenals, it would have still got control of all the American missiles
Exactly.
eventually.
Exactly.
So then it would have just done like okay,
I guess it was just
Americans
like,
destroyed a fifth of the planet. Now I'm going to destroy the
yeah,
rest
it's
of it.
like, why is it so like lazy? It only wants to do it all in one go. It's like, why does it have
'Cause
to be perfect?
Yeah, because it was being patient. Like
It's like
it
it's like the same thing. Like when Ethan goes in that hyperbaric chamber to talk to the entity, it's like the entity told him that he was going to be the one to let him in the black site because he knew that they were going to blackmail him or whatever. But I feel like it's always that the entity's entire plan rests on the fact that it needs Ethan Hunt to give it access to this freaking offsite server room.
yeah.
Like that just seems like a really weird plan to me. Like, you know that Ethan Hunt is the only person in the world that is trying to stop you right now. You would have been better off just killing him when he got in that hyperbaric chamber and just figured out a different way of getting into that black site. It can't be that difficult if you control everything.
Yeah, like I completely agree with you. Like getting into that black site is not really that
Yeah,
that
just
tough to
they
do.
walked in. And that's me being a bit nitpicky.
But then it also knows that Gabriel is like working against it
Yeah.
now, and it could conceivably think that Gabriel is going to destroy that. I can't remember what they call it. That black site.
Yeah,
that
I
you're
can't remember
saying.
what it was. Kind of scully, but and there was another thing where it was like they made a really big point about how there's like this cult that are following the entity and they've infiltrated everything. And I feel like they just did that so that they didn't have to explain how Gabriel had henchmen and why someone tried to shoot the president at the end. I was a bit like,
Well, and
why really go anywhere? Like, what does he need these people for?
Well, and somebody tried to assassinate Ethan while he was on the submarine or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, why do you? I just don't understand why.
Well,
It's so they can have a cool action scene fight sequence on the submarine. I get that.
And I think because like there's just like fucking stupid QAnon conspiracy theorists like everywhere.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I get it. I just well, like from the entity's point of view, like what was the point in doing that? Like, I feel like if you're just getting humans to help you, you're just adding like variables into your plan that you cannot control.
Well, I see what you mean, but it's also like humans have opposable thumbs or
Yeah,
whatever,
true.
right?
Yeah,
Like it just
they can write down shit on paper and read it.
Yeah, exactly. It just needs so many like tools that it can use.
You know what I did love about this? I'd forgotten that they crowbarred so many great actors into this movie. I was like, holy shit, I forgot Nick Offerman was in this.
Yeah.
Oh, look, it's Melchick.
And Angela Bassett is the president now. Like she wasn't president last movie, right?
I don't think so. It seemed like it was a reveal in this movie, so I don't remember. I don't remember the president even really being in it. So
yeah, we've seen her before. Like she was the head of CIA.
right, yeah, okay,
we saw that in Fallout.
Yeah. And what's her name? Ted Lasso. What's her name? Hannah Summer
Washington, I think, right?
Something like that.
But yeah,
she was good, but a small role.
She was like that. Like you probably could have lifted that role out. To be
it's
honest.
a bit thankless, wasn't it? But
and then Trammell from Severance, like Mr. Milkshake.
I looked over at Mr. Milkshake on screen, and Trevor had the biggest grin on his face.
One like he's
the best thing in Severance, so to be fair, I think.
Yeah, like and he's playing it.
He's just like Mr. Milkshake was a submarine captain.
Yeah, he's like, you're talking to the right guy.
What did he keep calling him? It was like friend or something, right? Or sir. Can't remember what he kept calling him, but it's like that's
Mister.
Yeah, something like that. It was like that's a definite like.
Oh man,
he brought that. That was his decision to call him that. That wasn't in the script.
When Ethan's like knocking off against the one submarine and then has to avoid the other submarine.
That was insane.
Then fucking gets into a torpedo tube. Like,
man, I was stressing, man, because I do not. That's like my ultimate fear is like being trapped underwater in small spaces. That's like all my fears in one.
When like all these weapons of destruction are just rattling around under there.
It's like one of those is gonna crush you, my friend. Oh,
I think that
was stressing me so hard, that scene. Oh my god. I think
that scene, like, but it really hit home because, like, we have these freaking nuclear weapons that could
just hang
destroy the world 10 times over. Ethan Hunt is in a submarine that's literally rolling over. And by the way, like it was so brilliant to have the submarine just roll
just
over.
slowly rolling. That was so
The
perfect.
water's pouring in, pouring
Yeah.
out, pouring in, pouring out. It's just such an interesting way to have filmed that.
Right, because like my mind went immediately to like, oh, it's just doing the classical movie. I'm tilting, and it's gonna slide off into the abyss. But it's like, nah, you put a twist on that.
Just fucking
like,
rolling around.
Yeah, literally a twist. And I had it roll down. It was really good.
And then Ethan's just like face to face with all these nuclear missiles, and they're just like rattling around as we're rolling around out of control.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. And then he just makes the fucking decision. He's like, you know what? Torpedo tube would be the fastest way for me to get out of here. You know what? I'm too bulky.
Yeah, I don't need this wetsuit.
I'm not going to try to find a different way out. This fucking wetsuit.
I did love.
My mask got caught. Gotta go.
I did love how much how much time they spent just like letting you know how badass this diving suit is. So there's an explanation for how he can be so deep underwater. And then there was just like, you know what? I don't need any of that shit anymore. I'm just going to cut it all off and like free swim it.
I know.
It
doesn't make any sense, but I still love it.
Instantly dive that.
Well, I don't know how deep that was, but they made sure to mention that we didn't test this below 300 feet.
Exactly.
Which means like, I don't know, what is 300 feet? Is that like 2/3 of a kilometer? Like it's pretty
freaking
far.
It's deep.
And it's a lot to swim while holding your breath in sub-zero waters.
I guess technically he didn't make it. But, I mean,
he was pretty close.
He looked pretty close. Oh man, yeah.
Well, and they said like you can't intake as you're going up or your lungs will explode. He's like, no problem. I will just hold my breath the entire time.
Ethan Hunt, I'll just rip the suit off and it'll be cool.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on. What do you think about the biplane scene?
Well, at first I was kind of rolling my eyes a little bit because it did feel a little like duplicative of what they had just done in, well, I guess 2 movies ago in Fallout with the 2 helicopters chasing each other.
I guess so.
He has part of the thing, he has to get the other thing that the other guy has and put them together to stop the disaster or whatever.
True.
But like he's on that fucking outside of that plane, like going around and around. I
can't believe what they put him through on that plane. It was insane. It's not like oh, he was just hanging on the side of a plane. It's like, no, he was like flipping around and like getting thrown about and hanging off by his feet. And oh my God, I was like, how is he? It's just so stressful just to watch him.
I do love that Gabriel earlier said, I've thought of everything. I brought a biplane. I even brought a spare.
I saw that. I remember he was like, just in case you need to chase each other in the plane.
As soon as he said that, I'm like, okay, there's going to be a plane chase, obviously.
It's like, I brought one for my silent henchman.
Yeah, the guy who holds the button.
Yeah, for some reason I had to bring with me just so he could take off with his plane. It's like, that doesn't make a lot of sense.
When he fucking knocked that guy out, that was so
he's like, fuck it, I'm doing it.
And just let him like fall back.
That was what I meant about like Gabriel, and I think when Gabriel's in that plane, he just turned into like freaking Dick Dastardly. He's just like, I'm gonna get you, Ethan. Yeah. I was like, what are you doing, mate? What are you even trying to do? Was his plan to like kill him in the air and then just go find his dead body to find that thing he needed?
Yeah, like
that's a terrible plan.
Yeah, Gabriel's plan didn't really make any sense. We're supposed to be feeling.
He tried to defeat his plane by ramming it. It's like ramming it. It's like, what are you doing, man? You can kill yourself.
In that scene, like we don't hate Gabriel the same way we hate John Lark.
No, exactly. Yeah, it's like you didn't hate it.
So
you're just like, this guy's just a fucking annoying at this
point. That actor didn't quite like bring it to that level. I not to be mean or anything, but
it seemed to I know what you mean. He just never really felt the emotion coming from him on it. It seemed like an automaton at some points.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
How did Ethan Hunt survive?
And which bit? Any of it?
No, when he fell out of the biplane and his parachute was on fire.
He had the emergency backup parachute, the little white one. He had it at the end.
I know, but where did that come from?
All parachutes have a backup, Trevor. You ever been skydiving before?
Okay, so does it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
They always do. There's always a backup when you are parachuting in case your first one fails.
Do you So I was thinking that maybe
just started levitating because he's so awesome.
No, maybe Ethan Hunt died at the end of that movie. and everything we see from his perspective afterwards is like not real.
Oh,
It is
interesting.
because we get the impression that Benji died.
Yeah,
And then when he sees him at the end, Benji's totally fine, and they're all like,
you know, when you say that, I was convinced, or well, almost convinced that he was going to turn around and see Ving Rhames.
yeah, that well,
Like,
then that would have been too
yeah,
obvious.
that's what I mean. It seemed like that was going to happen because it's like he's seen everybody he cares about, and I thought it'd be like, oh, imagining that Luther was there again.
Yeah, it was very dreamlike, that whole sequence, like very Taxi Driver.
Yeah, I can't argue with that, but I mean,
well,
when he was falling, I was like, oh, he's got a backup parachute.
Did we actually see the backup parachute before that?
Not before it, but when it shows him on the ground, it shows the white parachute billowing, right?
Well, so I thought like either he'd cut up to Gabriel who would fall and take his parachute.
That's why I thought he was going to go. It's like he's like, I'm the only one with a parachute. Then it's like that was pretty funny the way they just killed him off by him just like slamming into the tail wing.
Yeah, that was really.
And then it's like, what do you mean you're the only one with a parachute? There's another one right here. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought they were going to do that. I'm going to chase after his body and pull his parachute off.
Yeah.
I love the way he was like, oh, I could just put this in here right now and then it'll be fine. He's like, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to jump out first and then do it while I'm spiraling through the air because that would be really easy. He's like,
that. How did he not drop that?
Yeah, that seemed really irresponsible.
Well, and like the whole point that the U.S. government is making to him is that your whole plan is very irresponsible. Like
it really is. It's like you cannot put the fate of the world into one crazy person's plan.
We're trying to cut our losses, but the thing about Ethan Hunt has always been like, I'm going to try to have it all. Like I'm going to try to save these people and the people I care about the most.
It's like that decision is ridiculous to make because it would never happen in a million years.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't Benji say it's like one in a trillion chance? It's one in a trillion chance.
And that's why the entity does not really think that is what Ethan Hunt's going to do, because
it's like
it is completely illogical for anyone to ever do this. Because like, why would someone like depend on something that is a 1 in a trillion chance?
I was thinking like, but even like Gabriel's plan is like when he trapped Luther in London with like a literal nuclear bomb. Like his plan was that Luther will be able to like defuse this bomb.
Ethan Hunt's gonna get here just to talk for 2 minutes and then run away.
Like, and Luther would look like a sick man at that point if he just like.
What if he didn't wake up?
What if he didn't, or just like wasn't able to do it, or like how did he know exactly how much time he would need to do it? I mean, maybe he just gave him enough time, but then it's like, well, what if he just like had a heart attack or fell over?
Yeah.
It's like that means everybody would have died then, and the key would have been neutralized. And it's like, I didn't really like the bit where they were like, oh, like the Russian special forces are at this cabin, and like they've got their own key. That's like, okay, so now there's a second key.
Yeah, they
never really came back to that.
There was definitely some other, like, I think that they had originally planned to have like a fight in the submarine, and then they decided to go against that because they're like. That Russian who, like, they were giving him a lot of screen time on his face.
It's just nothing.
He got away, right? And we didn't ever see him again. So it doesn't quite make sense.
Well, and I was a bit like, when they were like, oh, you know who's in that submarine, right? It's like the baddest asses of the Russian special forces ever. And then it's like, well, like Benji just took one of them out. Simon Pegg just knocked that one out. Like, they're not very good.
There was definitely more stuff planned, and they probably thought that, like, you know what, this actually works better if it's just him.
Yeah, you
himself.
You didn't need it, did you? No.
Well, did you see any parallels to like putting the entity in that little thing and like the episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation with Moriarty?
Yeah, what was the name of that one?
It's like Ship in a Bottle.
Ship in a Bottle. I think you got it. Yeah, it was exactly like that.
Well, as soon as they said the plan, I'm just like, oh well, these guys are Star Trek fans. Like that, like this is a plot from Star Trek. They tricked Moriarty into going into this thing.
Yeah, I was a bit confused at the end because like they kept saying like, oh, whether like. No matter what they do, the entity's going to win. But then I guess their plan was to trick it, right? Like, like you say, trick it into going into this thing, and then like it's trapped, and then like everything was fine after that. So it's like, okay. But then it's the kind of stuff I don't understand. It's like the entity isn't this like tangible thing where it had to remove its entire self from everything into this thing. It's like, no, it just could have just copied. It would have just copied itself, but still been knocking about. It's like none of it makes any sense.
Well, but the kill switch thing, supposedly is like they can control the entity's reality to make it think it had to do this sort of
I
thing.
mean, I
Right?
guess.
So conceivably,
I didn't really know what the kill switch did. I think is my problem. It was like, oh, we've got this MacGuffin that we just plug into this other
yeah,
MacGuffin, and it makes things work better, do what we want. I was like, okay, I can go with
yeah.
that, but I have no idea what that means.
Well, I do like that Luther designed the kill switch to self-destruct after like 2 minutes or whatever. So
that's
like,
pretty cool.
so Gabriel would like no one was ever going to be able to
Yeah.
use it for their own purpose because he designed it so that
Yeah, but that's what I mean though. So if Gabriel had just put that in there and it would self-destructed, then what would have happened then?
it's a good point.
Like, I guess it's not worth worrying about.
It's not worth worrying about.
Just getting too much into the weeds.
It was a wild ride. Like
It was great.
I really want to watch 7 and 8 back to back.
Yeah.
Now
I want to watch the first one again as well.
because like 7 I struggled with a lot. Like I
yeah?
didn't really love it as much as the rest of the other
No?
franchise. I think maybe I will like it a bit more
Give it
now, but like
give it a rewatch, man. It's really good.
okay. Well, I left the theater after 8 really liking it. So like I don't know where I'd put this in my ranking, but
It'd be a good double bill for sure.
it had yeah.
Long
It's
one.
it's a long day, but I had a great time.
Yeah, me too.
Obviously, you all had a great time too.
Yeah, if you're still listening to this, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and so
80% of them at least, according to Rotten Tomatoes.
next week we're still talking Superman. Actually, we're going to be talking about Supergirl next week. I've never seen the movie.
I've never seen this one either. Looking forward to it. Even though it's not supposed to be great, but that's always good fun.
Let me see what is the feature for next week.
That's a good question. I
is
don't remember what it is.
Karate Kid.
Karate Kid. Is it
Legends, yeah. Karate Kid Legends.
I'm gonna rewatch Karate Kid this week. I never finished Cobra Kai. Were you a Cobra Kai guy?
No, I never watched a second.
It was pretty good for a season or two. Then it went to shit. But
you can give me the cliff notes of that.
Yeah. I don't think I think it's just going to ignore it though. To be honest, I think it's going to ignore all.
Isn't Ralph Macchio going to be in this one?
Yeah, but I mean, it's going to ignore that TV show. I don't think it's going to be like you're not going to need to know the lore of it.
Sure.
I think as long as you've seen the Karate Kid movie and the Jackie Chan one, then you'll be fine.
And I have.
There you go.
So I'll be good. Yeah. Well, everyone, thanks for listening. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast and
give us a shout out as well. Give us a comment. Give us a review. We need more reviews, so get on that. Good ones though, please.
Yeah. Say you like I don't know. Say you like our sense of style.
Yeah, sure. Say whatever you want. Just give us 5 stars.
Say we dress well. We have nice breath.
Yeah, just lie. You don't know if it's true or not.
All right, and yeah, definitely. If you're still listening to this and haven't gone to see Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning, I would suggest you do so.
You don't need to now. We've just told you what happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
there's really cool stuff, and people flip upside down, and
it's one of the things
you got it.
That's what I was trying to say earlier. It's like I'm watching this movie, and I'm like, I know that they're gonna save the day. I know she's gonna trap him in that crystal thing, and they're all gonna survive, and it's gonna be fine. But yeah, it still gets you though. Even though you know, it's like it's still exciting.
Well, they make you believe the blink of an eye thing, and then
exactly nailed it.
She nailed it. It'd be so funny if she didn't.
If she didn't, and then all the bombs went off. That would have been a good end to the movie if the whole entire planet just got blown up by nuclear bombs, and even home was like shit.
Whoops.
Oh well.
Well, can't win them all, Ethan.
Guess this mission was impossible. Credits. See, I should write movies.
That'd be great. Honestly, that would be amazing. That would be a financial disaster.
Could you imagine if they did that? It just looked right down the camera and was like, I guess this mission was impossible, and everything explodes.
Then they do like a jump in the air freeze frame.
No, they do that. What's that song that like cut to that Linkin Park song?
In the end, or
no? Is it Linkin Park? Like that meme was going around. It happened at the end of Edge of Tomorrow. Anyway, you listeners know what I'm talking about. Don't worry about it.
Okay, sorry.
Just cut to that song.
I don't spend as much time online as Pete does, I guess.
Actually online like I am. I would have been that guy in the submarine fighting him. Anyway, let's wrap this up, man. It's late. It's
Let's
2
wrap this
o'clock in
up.
the morning.
Thanks everybody for listening.
Yeah, and come back next week and catch us with, I've already forgotten, Karate Kid.
Karate Kid and Supergirl.
Yeah, until Karate Kid, that's the final word.